Hi, in this video I'm going to talk about the basics of ESG. This video is part of a complete course that aims to build an understanding of environmental, social, and governance aspects and what each of them entails. It further dives into the importance and relevance of ESG and how it contributes to responsible investment and risk management. It further talks about the reporting. What is ESG reporting? What are the different tools and frameworks used for ESG reporting? What are the latest trends? What are the data? How is the data managed and collected for the ESG reporting? Finally, the course will overview, with the help of case studies, how ESG adds value in the longer term for the company. In this course, you will learn about what is environmental, social governance, how is information used to assess risk, reward, and management effectiveness, how do stakeholder expectations influence corporate action, what are the key considerations for corporations and investors. First, we will have a look at what is ESG. ESG stands for Environmental, Social, and Governance. ESG is a framework that evaluates companies on environmental, social, and governance factors and assesses how they are performing on various sustainability issues. ESG enables the company to create and maintain and sustain a longer-term value in a rapidly changing world and manage the risks and opportunities that each of them presents. Now we'll take a look at various environmental, social, and governance factors. What are the examples? The environmental factors may include climate change, carbon emissions, air and water pollution, biodiversity, deforestation, energy efficiency, waste management, and water scarcity. Some of the social factors include labor practices, stakeholder engagement, employee welfare and health and safety, diversity and inclusion, human rights, supply chain issues, product safety, and customer privacy. Some of the examples of governance aspects include board diversity and independence, executive compensation, shareholder rights, transparency, ethics, risk management, and adherence to legal and regulatory requirements. Let's dive deeper into the environmental, social, and governance factors. First, we will talk about the E of ESG. The environmental aspect of ESG focuses on how a company interacts with its environment. It is an assessment of company's environmental footprint, its impacts to the environment, and how it manages its environmental risks. Companies that are rated highly on an environmental criteria means that they put importance in risk management of their environmental impacts. For example, we have a company that shows strong commitment to environmental stewardship in their policies. It considers environmental factors in its risk assessment. It uses renewable energy. It invests in energy efficient practices. It reduces its waste and as well as its water usage. All of these lead to enhanced brand reputation. It also saves cost for the company. It also helps to efficiently mitigate and manage the risk, all the while protecting the environment. On the other hand, we have another company that may have a high carbon footprint due to inefficiency in its processes, like burning. It burns fossil fuels. It does not consider reuse or recycling within its operations. It has inefficient resource utilization. It might actually be wasting what could be valuable resources if reclaimed in its waste streams, which can include water, heat, waste, and materials. Such practices can cost the company money. It may lead to loss of business due to regulatory non-compliance. It may also lead to bad reputation, while also contributing to environmental degradation and disruption of local communities. Now we will move on to the S, or the social aspect. The social aspect of ESG refers to a company's impact on society, how it interacts with its employees, and the communities where it operates. It assesses how companies deal with human rights, social trends, and political environment. Prioritizing social factors is not just a responsible thing to do, but it also adds value to the company. It also contributes to the long-term business success. Let's take the example of two companies. One company prioritizes social factors and demonstrates ethical practices. the benefits in multiple ways. It may have a better reputation with customers as well as stakeholders. It provides wellness plans for employees and implements health and safety management systems in its operations. This results in less employee turnover due to high level of job satisfaction and fewer health and safety incidents, resulting in boosted employee morale, wellness, while saving health costs and lost man hours for the company. On the other hand, there is a company that is more focused on immediate profit and considers employee engagement and investing in their skill development a financial burden. It sees low employee morale, leading to less than optimal productivity, also a high employee turnover rate, and leading to toxic work culture. It has more issues related to inclusion, and it is lagging behind its industry peers in adopting an inclusive culture. Now we will move on to the G, or the governance aspect of ESG. Governance in a company or organization refers to the system and processes through which it is directed, controlled, and managed. The governance aspect of ESG looks at the company's internal systems, structures, and practices that govern its operations and decision-making process. Whether it's the environmental issue or handling the social aspect, it all boils down to the governance because it is directly related to the decision-making. For instance, there is a company that publishes its ESG report annually. It includes its credible third-party verified targets, progress, and the measures it is taking or the plans it is making to take or achieve those targets. It includes its credible third-party verified target, progress, and the measures it is taking or the plans it is making to achieve those targets. This demonstrates that the company has a good governance system in place that has recognized the need for annual reporting. It shows a commitment to transparency, risk assessment, and continual improvement. All of these have led to higher investor confidence in the company, better growth opportunity due to access to better and more capital, and access to new markets due to its brand reputation. On the other side, there is a company that has next to nothing available on its website or its communication channels about its ESG or sustainability aspect or impact. It considers spending time and resources on annual ESG reports a futile exercise. It has been embroiled in controversy due to its lack of gender balance in the board. Also, they don't have any oversight or accountability over its supply chain, which allegedly employs forced labor. The company has failed to improve its gender balance, which could have enhanced its reputation among a whole demographic. Also, it ended up with a disruption in raw material supply when the supplier had to suspend business as it was under investigation in the countries was faced. Before we move forward, it is important to note that the individual definitions of E, S, and G can vary, and companies can categorize their material impacts differently depending on their unique context and frame of reference. This interconnectedness of issues is also caused by the shared resources and interdependencies in various factors. We will look at few examples to understand it better. For example, chemical spill management can be an environmental hazard due to leaked harmful chemicals. It can also be a social issue as it relates to the worker health and safety. Another example is water scarcity. Water scarcity is an environmental issue as it is directly related to the ecological health, but it is also an important social issue as water scarcity can affect the community's well-being that are living close to it. Similarly, diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, can be categorized under social aspects by one company or governance for another. DEI can be related to hiring practices and procurement strategy, and so the company would categorize it as a social issue. It can also be regarded as a governance issue all the same, as DEI policies of a company affects the gender balance of the board and the diversity of the workforce. So these examples show the interconnectedness and interdependencies in various environmental, social, and governance aspects. And how a company manages it depends on its own context and how it wants to categorize its material impacts. While ESG is not a set of well-defined standards, and various companies can categorize different issues differently based on their own unique characteristics, still the underlying concepts are the same. With the evolution of ESG, the investor perspective has also changed. How they see value in a company or how they want to invest in a company, what they want out of a company or a product or a service. Here we will take a look at the importance of ESG and how it brings value to the stakeholder. Risk management. ESG is essentially a risk assessment and management. It can help companies identify and manage risks that may have financial, operational, or reputational implications for the company. Stakeholder expectations. Stakeholder expectations in ESG refer to diverse demands from investors, customers, employees, and the communities. Adopting sustainable and responsible practices. Meeting these expectations can enhance customer loyalty. It can attract top talent for the company. It can also foster a positive relationship with the communities in which the company operates. This ultimately gives the company an edge over the competitors who fail to do so. Human capital management. By fostering a positive and inclusive environment for the employees and investing in their well-being and their skill development, the company creates intrinsic value for the employees, which ultimately showcases the company as a strong and trustworthy brand. Attracting investors. By better assessment of actual as well as potential and foreseeable risks, the company builds a robust risk management system. Attracting investors. By better assessment of actual as well as potential and foreseeable risks, the company builds a robust risk management system. This in turn attracts investors as they recognize ESG as a measure of company's resilience, its reputation, and its long-term growth potential. For example, BlackRock, the largest asset management firm in the world, is increasingly putting climate issues and decarbonization at the heart of its decision-making in recent years. We're seeing regulatory climate. Governments and regulatory bodies are increasingly implementing ESG-related regulations and non-financial disclosure requirements. By proactively adopting ESG practices and reporting, companies can stay on top of regulatory changes and demonstrate a commitment to responsible business conduct. Now we will move on to some positive and negative real-life examples of ESG. These will help us understand how ESG can enhance a brand value and create long-term value for the company. By failure to do so can lead to reputational damage, financial damage, as well as regulatory issues. The first example is of Volkswagen's greenwashing scandal. Let's have a look at what happened. Volkswagen faced a greenwashing scenario in 2015 when it was revealed that the company has been cheating on emission tests for its diesel vehicle. The company had advertised that its diesel vehicles are environmentally friendly with low emissions, but in reality, they were emitting far more pollutants than permitted. Volkswagen's diesel cars were equipped with software known as defeat devices. These defeat devices, or the software, would detect when the vehicle was undergoing emission testing. It would adjust the performance of the vehicle, and it would lead to lower pollution emission and compliance with the regulatory standards. Volkswagen advertised that its diesel vehicles are clean and environmentally friendly, boasting low emission and high fuel efficiency. This was actually a key selling point for their car, especially in the markets where environmental concerns were a priority for the customer. In September 2015, the US EPA issued a notice of violation to Volkswagen after discovering that they are cheating in their emissions. Investigations were launched in various countries, revealing that millions of Volkswagen vehicles worldwide were equipped with these defeat devices or this software. The scandal had severe consequences for Volkswagen. It led to massive recall, financial penalties, and lawsuits from regulators, customers, and investors. Volkswagen's reputation suffered a significant blow, and the public's trust in the company was severely eroded. The Volkswagen case highlighted the importance of transparency and accountability in ESG practices. Greenwashing can have serious consequences for a company's reputation and financial standing, emphasizing the need for genuine commitment to environmental sustainability and responsible business practices. Now we will have a look at Microsoft's carbon negative pledge. Microsoft, a leading tech company, has set an ambitious goal to be carbon negative by 2030. This means that the company will remove more carbon from the atmosphere than it emits. Microsoft has developed a comprehensive plan to achieve this goal, which includes investing in renewable energy, improving energy efficiency, and developing new technologies to reduce carbon emissions. Additionally, the company has also pledged to compensate for all its prior carbon emissions by the year 2050. By taking these steps, Microsoft is demonstrating its commitment to sustainability and setting a high standard for other companies in the tech sector. Here's an infographic taken from Microsoft's 2021 Environmental Sustainability Report, and it summarizes the actions and the steps and the strategies of Microsoft to achieve their target. It wants to scale strategy to achieve ambitions by using the whole of business. Set the tone from the top. Make it central to the business while making it relevant at business group levels. Hold everyone accountable for progress and a governance structure to track progress in real time. Take steps to accelerate markets, ecosystem, and global progress. Report on everything, not just progress. As we can see that Microsoft has a well-rounded approach to sustainability that includes every aspect from governance to global outlook, from accountability to progress tracking, and most importantly, transparency. These case studies demonstrate that when ESG considerations are taken into account, it can create significant value for the company as well as their stakeholders. Failure to do so can lead to reputational damage, financial consequences, and missed opportunities for growth. Now we will talk about the history of ESG and how it evolved into its current form. ESG considerations have gained significant importance in recent years as investors, consumers, and regulators increasingly recognize the need for sustainable and responsible business practice. ESG hasn't always been around in this form, and it has taken the journey from risk assessment, risk management, from CSR, corporate social responsibility, from climate change, and from decarbonization. And all of those together have evolved the ESG into its current form. In the 1970s and 80s, there was a growing awareness of environmental and social issues, driven by events such as oil crisis, environmental disasters, and social movements. This led to the birth of socially responsible investing, or SRI, and the consideration of non-financial factors in investment decision-making, as well as environmental health and safety. The 1990s shareholder activism, with investors starting to push for greater corporate accountability on environmental and social issues. Sustainability really started taking off as part of the discussion and as well as the reporting. The United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, or UNFCCC, was drafted and signed in 1992 to combat climate change. As an implementation of UNFCCC, Kyoto Protocol was signed in 1997 to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. Also in 1997, Global Reporting Initiative, or GRI, was founded. In the 2000s and going on into the 2010s, sustainability really took off with various dedicated reporting frameworks. Organizations such as GRI and CDP, the Carbon Disclosure Project, played a crucial role in promoting a standardized reporting of environmental and social performance. Organizations started including various environmental initiatives and social aspects in their CSR and in their annual reports. The Millennium Development Goals, the MDGs, and later the Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs, by the UN, also provided a structured tool that helped organizations gauge their impact on corresponding relative MDGs or the SDGs. From the mid-2000s, there was a shift in perception with more recognition that ESG factors could actually impact a company's long-term financial performance. The past few years have seen a boost in ESG reporting and mainstream use of tools and frameworks like GRI, SASB, TCFD, etc. More recently, in 2020s, governments and regulators are now transitioning from voluntary to mandatory reporting requirements. And hence, ESG has moved from a niche concept to a mainstream adoption. COVID-19 pandemic, as well as various social movements around the world, have played a big role and put human rights and social risks at the forefront. Now, I will conclude my video and let's see what we have learned in this video. ESG, or environmental, social, and governance, has emerged as a crucial framework for evaluating a company's sustainability, its ethical practices, and its long-term viability. It includes factors related to environment, social responsibility, and corporate governance, influencing decision-making for investors, stakeholders, and businesses alike. Companies that prioritize ESG considerations are better positioned to navigate an increasingly rigorous business landscape. They can foster trust among stakeholders and also contribute positively to their society, to their communities, and the planet. As ESG continues to gain momentum, its integration into corporate strategies and decision-making processes will be essential for driving responsible and sustainable business practices in the future. Hope you learned about the basics of ESG in this video, and we hope that you stick around for the whole course.